Joe is a simple hunter. He wakes up, scratches his belly, and hopes to find a fat fish. But today, the village is buzzing. The fat chief is standing on a big rock, shouting about something called the Great Pile. The chief claims the Great Pile is bigger than last season. He says the tribe is prospering. Joe looks at his own empty basket and then looks at the chief's golden necklaces. Joe is confused. If the pile is so big, why is he still eating last week's leftover moss? In our modern world, the elders call this gross domestic product, or GDP. It is the tribe's scorecard. It is the total weight of every fish caught, every spear carved, every cave wall painted, and every berry plucked within the tribe's borders in a single season. But Joe needs to understand that a big pile doesn't mean everyone is full. It just means the tribe has been very, very busy. Whether they were busy doing smart things or stupid things, the Great Pile counts it all. To understand the Great Pile, we must look at how the elder counts it. He uses a secret tribal formula. First, he counts the bananas. This is everything Joe and his friends buy and eat. When Joe trades a shiny shell for a bunch of yellow bananas, the Great Pile grows. This is consumption. It is the biggest part of the pile because humans are very good at eating. Next, the elder counts the traps. If a clever caveman spends his day building a better mammoth trap instead of hunting, he isn't eating today, but he is investing. The Great Pile loves traps because traps mean more mammoths tomorrow. Then there is the chief's statue. The fat chief takes some fish from everyone to build a giant stone version of himself or to pay the village guards to stand around looking tough. This is government spending. Even if the statue does nothing but provide shade for lizards, it still adds weight to the Great Pile. Finally, we look at the cross-valley trade. If our tribe catches more fish than we can eat and trades them to the Cloud Tribe for their blue rocks, our pile grows. But if we give away all our fish just to get their shiny feathers, our pile shrinks. This is net exports. When you add the bananas, the traps, the statues, and the trade together, you get the weight of the Great Pile. Here is where the elder gets sneaky. Joe is walking through the forest and trips, breaking his favorite hunting spear. Joe is sad. He has to go to Smithy the spear maker and give him 3 fish to fix it. In Joe's mind, he is poorer. He had a spear and 3 fish. Now he just has a spear. But the elder is dancing. Why? Because the Great Pile just grew by 3 fish. This is the broken window paradox of the cave. If a storm hits the village and smashes every cave entrance, and everyone has to work all winter to fix them, the Great Pile looks massive. And the chief will brag that the economy is booming. But the tribe isn't richer. They are just back to where they started, exhausted and out of fish. The Great Pile tracks activity, not necessarily progress. It counts the cost of the medicine, but it doesn't care if the tribe is actually getting healthier. Joe notices something strange. Last season, a basket of fish cost 5 shells. This season, it costs 10 shells. The chief is shouting from the mountaintop. The Great Pile has doubled in value. We are twice as rich. Joe scratches his head. He still only has 1 basket of fish. He isn't twice as rich. The shells are just twice as weak. The elder calls the chief's version nominal GDP. It's a vanity number. It includes the fire of inflation that burns the value of your shells. To find the truth, the elder must use real GDP. He removes the heat of the fire to see if the tribe actually caught more fish, or if they are just using more shells to buy the same fish. If the Great Pile grows because we worked harder and caught more, that is economic growth. If it grows because the chief printed too many shells, that is just ghost bananas. Joe learns that a pile made of ghosts won't keep his belly full during the Great Frost. The Great Pile is a hungry beast. It wants to grow every season. If it stops growing, the chief panics. He calls it a recession. When the pile shrinks, people stop trading. Smithy stops making spears, and Joe gets scared. But there is a secret the chief never tells. The great pile doesn't count the things that actually matter to a caveman. It doesn't count the way Joe feels when he watches the sunset with his family. It doesn't count the wisdom Joe's mother shares by the fire. It doesn't count the clean air in the valley or the fact that the forest is still full of trees. In fact, if Joe cuts down every tree in the valley to make toothpicks, the great pile will explode with growth. But the next day, there will be no shade, no fruit, and no wood for the fire. The great pile measures how fast we are consuming our world. But it doesn't measure if the world is still a good place to live. Joe now understands the great pile is a tool, not a god. It tells us how much the tribe is producing, but it doesn't tell us who gets to eat the fish. The chief might have a pile of 10,000 mammoths, but if Joe is still starving, the booming economy is a lie. The elder tells Joe to look beyond the numbers. True wealth isn't just a heavy pile of rocks in the center of the village. True wealth is the ability to hunt, the health of the forest, and the strength of the tribe's bonds. The chief will keep shouting about his percentages and his growth charts drawn in charcoal, but Joe will focus on his spear, his traps, and his family. Because in the end, you can't eat a GDP report. When the winter winds howl, it's the real fish in your cave that matters, not the ghost bananas in the chief's head.